everyone, I'm Erin Ashley Simon. Today we're sitting with Lyneezy and Cupahnoodle. Ladies, let's talk about your launching points. I'm like, listen, I love seeing Black women thrive in their own ways. You know, we out here, and you both have been able to find success through being creative and authentic in your own ways. So through your different mediums, whether it's streaming, whether it's content or writing for you, how do you find your creativity and your voice through your work? Like, what was that process for you to find that for yourself?
I've been saying this a lot lately, citing the great Cat Williams. You got to be in tune with your star player, you know? getting to know yourself and getting to know what you really like, and not caring what people think, and not caring if you fail. Like, you won't ever figure out what's for you if you don't fail at things. So being able to find that authentic voice is literally a reflection of finding that authentic voice within yourself in all things.
I totally agree. It's one of those things where, for me with content creation, it kind of showed me who I really was, right? Because this is the first time you put yourself out there in front of people that you physically can't see. So you gotta be willing to, I guess, take what people would perceive as risk, but it's not really a risk, because this is how you figure out who you are. This is how you grow. Yeah. You know, this is what shapes you. You get to see, you know, your limitations, but you can also see where you thrive.
I wouldn't say you're invincible when you start, but you kind of are like, you know what, I got nothing to lose. I'm just gonna go for it. But when you hit that first level of big success, you start questioning your voice. You start questioning everything that you do.
How you're perceived.
So how you're perceived, and how do you navigate that? Because it's, especially for us as Black women, there's already stereotypes that we're constantly having to deal with. And at the same time, our voices are what has propelled us to where we are, but at the same time, those voices too, some people may not like. And it's like, how do you continue to keep that voice with your success?
I think the amount of care that you put into the thing that you started, as long as you can maintain that type of humility, because that's really what humility is. It's not straying away from what got you there, who you are, your true authentic self. And so I think sometimes even that gives us this anxiety about, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I do care about my audience. Like, you've built a community, so you feel the pressures of giving the people what they want, making sure what you're saying is appealing to as many people as possible, but you have to remember why you do it. And
also being comfortable with the fact that when you are confident in what you're saying, you're still gonna have people who are not gonna agree with what you have to say.
And I think it goes back to what we kind of talked about at first, and it's figuring out who you are, learning who you are as a person. And I agree completely with you, Lyneezy, about just reacting. I think younger me, I would just react, right? And then in hindsight, it's like, oh, remember me different. We gonna learn today. You know what I'm saying? But as far as, you know, you get older, and I feel like with social media, it's so easy to see something and then just react, you know, or even like ideas when it comes to like your content. We all feel like every idea we have is the best idea. So it's one of those things, I thought something at 3 o'clock in the morning when I should have been asleep, and now I'm just doing it and just reacting, but it's like you're not really seeing it for what it is.
Your success is also based off your unique perspective, your unique approach. And so I think when we get to a point where we cannot be married to the reactions or to the results of what we put out, and once you can detach from that personally, I think that gives you the opportunity to get over those hurdles.
Do you feel a sense of obligation to give back to the community? What are the feelings that you guys have when it comes to, okay, I'm in the door, now I need to give back to the community?
I feel like obligation is strong, but it is genuinely what I feel. Like, I do feel like the work itself is pouring into the community, like having gifts that you can share. I think it's so important to use them and not just hoard them. Ways that I've given back already is when I needed a creative team and was on a teacher's salary, having quit their job in the midst of the pandemic, was hiring my students who were like in film programs in college now.
Oh, wow.
And so on my team right now, I have 4 interns who are all students that I've taught in my classes. But I just feel like there is kind of this unspoken and unsaid responsibility of Black women, because it's a trait to take care and give back and nurse in any space that we're in, you know, and for various reasons. I can only imagine in the gaming space as Black women, just wanting to make space for other people, if anything else, to take up space with you.
So, can you dive a little bit more into your series as well? And, you know, what was the purpose behind that?
Yeah, so Parking Lot Pimpin' is an educational short series in service to and for everybody Black, including the women and the rainbow. It started off as something that I did during the pandemic to just teach people about Blackness. Like I have a master's degree in African American studies. It just happened to be the Black Summer of 2020, unfortunately, after George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, that I saw the world was coming to a point where they had to pay attention. And so it just kind of felt like divine timing. Like you didn't know it yet, but you've been in training since you've been born for this moment. And so I started it to teach us. And so I wanted to share it on a wide scale. It's why I went to go teach high school kids, because they'll let you know if you're whack. They'll let you know
They're not gonna hold you.
Yeah, like if you're getting through to them or not. I have a very diverse audience to this day, even like around the globe, and I'm grateful for that, because the rest of the world needs to see us undoing the stories that have been told about us.
Hold on, I gotta, yes, girl, because now I'm gonna send them to your IG now. I'll be like, they ask me, Erin, I'll be like, yo, go to Lynee.
Go talk to Lynee.
Go check out the spotlight. Go check out that content.
For me, with Twitch, I was the first Black woman to ever host anything for Twitch. I've hosted their big conventions. I host E3 for them. I host the Video Game Awards. And come 2020, I was afforded an opportunity with O'Kadrian, who was he was the first Black man to ever host for Twitch. With him, we got to actually do a hosting summit, which actually gave Black creators an opportunity. If they ever wanted to get into hosting, they could. So we got to teach a workshop, and it was so good we got to do it twice. So it's like hindsight for me. It's like, well, when I first started, I didn't know this and I didn't know that.
So for you too, how do you guys cope with the pressure and the stress and the high scrutiny that comes with being successful?
I'm gonna be honest, I know who I am, which sounds really lame, but I think at the end of the day,
it's not.
When you know who you are, it's just certain things that aren't gonna keep you up at night, right? So I can play dumb all day, but at the end of the day, I know when I'm getting it wrong. But if I'm being honest with myself, I don't know what I want. And I don't think the average person does either. You kind of just, you just do what you wanna do, and the chips are gonna fall where they fall, but at the end of the day, you did what you wanted to do. So even if I fail, I failed doing what I wanted to do, and I can do it again tomorrow.
Yo, you hit it right on the head, because it's interesting. In some manners, for us to be successful, we have to get to know ourselves. And that means we have to look in the mirror, good and bad. So with that, I have to ask you two, who are you? Who is Lynee? Who is Cup? Lynee,
and
you
it's
go
so
first.
crazy, because I was just about to piggyback off you and say, yeah, I know who I am too. But who Lynee is right now is somebody who recognizes that question is fluid. It's never really finite. It can change. Right now, my titles are creator, writer, actor, poet, but who I am is a person who is genuinely like figuring out this self-care, self-love, and holding on strong to that in this career that's making me vulnerable to the public.
I think you said it best. It's like it's fluid. And I think if I can lead on anything, is at the end of the day, I'm a person, which means I'm flawed. Well, it's easy for us to get up here and just be like, you have to know who you are. Like, everyone has insecurities. Like, I have mine, but I'm not insecure. Those are two different things. You see what I'm saying?
Today.
You see what I'm saying? It exists.
Please.
With your content, you're writing, and you with streaming, what was that process from a business perspective where you just had to say, okay, I gotta expand my business?
I had a master's team around me. I had started to get paid for what I do and wanting to pay the creators working for me. And so it literally was like, how do I create something that is sustainable and effective enough for me to pay these people what they're worth and also give them opportunity to be engaged, knowing that this wasn't the end game. I left my apartment in Atlanta, and there's Post-it notes all over the walls of my office of every single different project that I've thought of, that I'm thinking about, that's a branch out from the parking lot or otherwise, because I mean, the time is now, like I'm working.
Post-its are a thing. That's not just being Mary Jane. Post-its are,
writing down is,
yes,
it's
manifestation. Mentally, when I see
it,
it makes more sense.
Another thing that I think that comes with writing down and figuring out what are the next steps is that a lot of times when people look at our successes, they just see us. Not realizing we have a whole team. Your success is dependent on your team. It's not just you. Anyone who says they gain success on their own, they're lying.
They're lying.
They're lying. They have an entire team.
Not actually very good at what they
Delegation
do.
is
Exactly.
key.
They have an entire team.
Delegation is absolutely key. And I know that when it's yours, you bring it in. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't trust anyone with my baby. But it's like, eventually you don't have the time. But I will say, know what you're doing. Before you start giving it to other people, know what it is. Before you get that lawyer, know what they're doing. If you're sitting in a room and something's wrong and you don't have an answer because you don't know how it would go, that's not really smart.
So how do you, as the person who really owns the IP, who created it, how do you work with a team to really have them thrive, but also at the same time ensuring that they are keeping true to what you envisioned?
The biggest thing, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, knowing who you are, knowing what you want, knowing what you want to communicate, but also not attaching your ego to your work and allowing people's expertise to come in and challenge you.
Yeah.
You don't always have to allow people to change what you're doing, but it just means that you need to work on yourself to be clearer about what you want.
I'm not always right? And that's fair. And I always say, like, if you don't have anything else in life, and it's for anything you do, it's not content, it's just in life, you need that one honest, non-objective third-party person that doesn't care whether you pass or fail. They don't care. That'll be honest, and even the things you don't want to hear. Because I'm not gonna act like, oh, I don't have an ego, so when people tell me things, I'm like, okay, I listen. No, I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I be all up in my feelings. I'm a Cancer. I'm a Cancer, all right? I'm very sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, hurt people. But you still need that person at the end of the day where you can stop and say, even after you get out your feelings, like they may have a point.
You know, sometimes these programs and shows, they don't actually give actual measures or tips that people can actually do to achieve their own purpose and hopefully find their own individual success. So, Lynee, when it comes to you, what are some tips, or what is a big tip for the creative writing process, for creative writers, what they can do to get better, to find their own purpose and success?
Once you start to do it for the journey, and different points of success are just stops along the way that you can learn from, then you can really delve into your art, delve into the thing that you're called to do. And it takes work, it takes time, and you just have to be married to that, married to making it work.
Married to the game.
Yeah.
Gaming comes in all shapes and forms, ladies and gentlemen. And Cup, now, you really are in gaming. There's no pun intended. You actually really are in gaming.
Yeah.
And so for you, what are some actionable tips that you can give to those who want to be successful in streaming or successful in content creation within the gaming space?
Even outside of content creation, I don't think it's said enough. You gotta love what you do. You gotta love it even when it doesn't love you back.
Come on.
You gotta do it even when you feel like there is no point to it, because this is what you want, right? You can't only love it when you're seeing results. So, you know, love what you do. Take pride in what you do. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, you gotta just continue moving in your purpose, and losing will always be part of the process. Failing is part of the process of succeeding. Make sure you have good people around you, and at the end of the day, do not compare yourself to others. Compare yourself from where you were a few months ago. Thank you to my guests for joining me today. I really appreciate the conversation, and thank you so much for tuning in. Before you leave though, drop in the comments, what is your launching point? Until next time, I'm Erin Ashley Simon, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.